Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Just before I start talking about the video, I want to let you know that I finally put some of my original pieces up on my Etsy shop. I mentioned a couple of videos ago that it's something I've wanted to do for a while, as I'd like these pieces to go to good homes rather than wasting away forgotten in my folders. So it's now done, and I'll leave a link in the description, so if you'd like to have a look, feel free. So this time lapse is of a coastal scene from Galway in Ireland, where my parents visited recently and were very kind enough to take a bunch of photos for me to paint, and this one really stuck out to me. I'm always really drawn to images with strong, vibrant colours, so that's what I wanted to recreate. Just for a brief overview, I did a wash of yellow ink in the beginning, and then continued with acrylic gouache and finished the detailing with the polychromos colouring pencils by Faber-Castell, just so you have a rough idea of how I tackled this. I always feel a little funny posting videos on landscapes, mainly because I've always considered myself a portrait artist first and foremost, and I usually feel like I'm putting something out there that's just not what people are expecting or hoping to see from me. Landscapes were never something I seriously considered trying out, and for years I was really adamant that it was the furthest thing from any of my interests, which was true for a long time. But now I feel like I've managed to find a way of doing them that crosses over into my other stylistic interests, mainly in how I treat my illustrations. So like, the colour is more important to me than the subject. Well, the subject is as well, but yeah. And the texture and the depth you can get from the colouring pencils, I really like that as well. I always find it kind of funny how rigid I used to be about how I defined myself as an artist. It's only in the last couple of years that I've expanded my views and interests, and now I'm able to enjoy way more different types of medium, and I'm not so hard on myself for having multiple styles. And I suppose that's something I wanted to talk about in this video, is that I'm realising more and more how limiting it is for an artist to be so fixed in their medium or subject of choice. It's certainly something I struggled with, like I said, since I was a teenager, when I called myself a portrait artist back then, and I didn't give myself much leeway around that. That's how I defined myself, and I felt I couldn't explore outside of those parameters if I was to be taken seriously as a portraitist. And at that time I didn't want to anyway, but as I got older I began to feel a bit trapped by the limitations I'd set for myself, which in hindsight is ridiculous. Obviously we can enjoy as many different forms of art as we like and explore them ourselves and still call ourselves a particular type of artist, or not. There's no restriction on any of it. Even though I don't really think so, maybe now I am becoming a landscape artist, and that's fine. But my point is, if there's anyone else who feels or felt the way that I did, then I hope me talking about it can give even a small amount of clarity. I know I'd have appreciated someone telling me when I was younger that I don't have to be one type of artist, and it's definitely a mindset I see quite a bit online. I see lots of incredibly talented young people who don't venture much further than what their audience expects of them, even though I've seen quite a few of them express that they would like to. It's obviously not a bad thing to know what you like and what you're comfortable with. That's not what I'm saying. And if your art is the type of art you identify with best, then that's great. It's all just a bunch of thoughts that I've been mulling over for a while, and I suppose it's good that I've come to this mindset, especially in relation to my own art and what I want to achieve. I've even started exploring a bit of sculpture, making small figurines with polymer clay, and I'm making my own original characters out of it, and I love it. It's so far removed from what I'm used to doing, but it's a lot of fun, and I wouldn't have tried it if I hadn't stopped that line of thinking that I can't be a portrait artist and do other things. Like if I'm not honing my skills all the time in a single area, then I'm no good in the end, which isn't true for anyone. I realise I'm probably getting a little too intense just for a video about painting some grass and rocks, but I figured that it's still important to say, even if it's just for myself. Sometimes it's good to just say things out loud and kind of put a voice to your thoughts. Definitely since I've gone past this mental block that I've had for so long, I've been the most productive I've been in a very long time, and I'm definitely having the most fun with my work that I've probably had in my entire adult life. I feel like art college really knocked a lot out of me confidence-wise, and it's taken me years to try and build that back to where it was before, and it's still not there. Like when I was a teenager, not that I thought I was the best thing ever, but I had a lot more confidence and I was way more willing to try things that I hadn't done before. In terms of my portrait art, obviously still within that limit, but I was more adventurous in that regard. And then I got to college, and I don't know, there was a lot of negativity I felt in terms of you'd always be put down for what you wanted to do. It was never the right thing. All of the tutors would tell you something different, so it was very, very hard to gauge how well you were doing, really, because nothing, especially for me, I certainly felt that nothing I did was ever really good enough. And that feeling stayed with me long after I left college. And I'm 29 now. You know, I finished college, like 6 years ago? And I'm still not quite at that point where I feel super, super confident in my work, but I have improved a lot, and I'm very, very grateful that I'm at the point that I am now, because if it had gone on longer, I probably wouldn't have got anywhere. But I'm proud of my work lately, which is obviously a very nice feeling. So I suppose that's kind of the result of me making a conscious effort to change my mindset on this. Anyway, I should probably stop rambling now and let you just watch the video. I hope that what I said was at least a little interesting or helpful. If you've got to this point, then fair dues. Thank you for listening. I'll leave it there. I know I say it that way every single time. I always say, oh, I'll leave it there, but I will, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was somewhat enjoyable. Thank you, and bye.